están completamente rodeados por las Fuerzas Armadas de los Estados Unidos.
Por favor, su atención. Tenemos un mensaje importante para ustedes.
That's right, in our continuation of Just Cause June, we're taking a look at the loadout and history of the 82nd Airborne. Everybody wants to do an 82nd Airborne kit for Panama. For some reason, along with the 7th ID, it's one of the most popular. But not a lot of people take the time and effort to learn about what they actually did. This is the Gear.Locker, and let's dive into all of that. As with a lot of 80s kits during this time frame, the equipment is pretty standardized and similar, but unit SOPs and little things, this is what really makes a kit unique. So starting with the base layers and the uniform, they are rocking the Type 2 BDUs. These are all in the hot weather ripstop, and they have a few patches on it. One detail that I really liked that I included was using the 82nd Airborne patches on both the left and the right shoulders. This wasn't seen with all of them, but does pop up occasionally. What's really neat about the top I used is it already came like this. I had 82nd Airborne patches on both sides. You'll see a US Army name tape as well as their names, with airborne qualifications right above it. But this is where the first unit SOP kicks in. On their left shoulders, you'll see the American flag patch safety pinned on, with glint tape rolled and tied underneath. This is for PID. You see, a lot of the PDF, the Panamanian Defense Force uniforms, were old US equipment. You'll see woodland camouflage and Alice or M56 gear used by the PDF. So to differentiate them, the 82nd Airborne implemented this to identify themselves. One of the reports that I saw did say that they had glint tape on the top of their helmet covers, though I couldn't verify this in reference photos, which is why I didn't use it in mine, although again, it is referenced out there on the internet. As with everything, take it all with a grain of salt, but we're working on photos here, so this is the kit I built. Their undershirt is the standard classic USGI brown undershirt, and their boots being basic jungle boots. The helmets that they all rocked were the K-pop Pasget helmet, of course with jump pads and all inside. If you don't know what I'm talking about, this is kind of what you want to look for. You can get these separately and put it in the helmets. Nothing really was special about the shells themselves, really just the accessories inside. Contrary to some beliefs out there, including my own years ago, they didn't really run helmet scrim. There's one photo of a guy doing it, but it is not widespread whatsoever, and you'll see that all in these reference photos. The 82nd did do their own version of burlap helmet scrim in Operation Urgent Fury with the invasion of Grenada in the early 80s, but it wasn't carried on as a practice through Just Cause. They're rocking all standard Alice LC1 and LC2 equipment, though occasionally you'll see some M56 spread throughout, whether that's in harness or a compass pouch or something small. You'll typically find 2 magazine pouches, 2 canteen pouches, the web belt with that gray plastic buckle, or sometimes you'll see the LC1 belts with the brass buckles, and 2 compass or first aid pouches. You'll also see bayonets on some of the belts. These are more often the M9 Frobis bayonet. Many of the watches were private purchase around that time, so I opted for my Bay Rolex copy, the Baylex, designed by reenactors for reenactors, though it's a minor detail to the kit. Let's keep going. You'll also see flashlights and M67 ball grenades, as well as occasionally some earplug cases hung on the suspenders. This is a very common thing you'll see with 7th ID, and some 82nd guys did that as well. The vast majority of rifles you'll see are the M16A2s. With 6 magazines and 1 in the gun, it's not a lot of ammo, so occasionally you will see a bandolier, and of course some other ordnance, like the HC grenades. I opted not to do this, not only because I don't have a repro, but it tends to be overdone in reenactor circles. Everybody wants to look cool with a bright grenade hanging off. Most guys didn't carry it as far as the picture showed. And as with most 80s kits, that's really the bulk of what they wore. We'll get into rucksacks in a future video. Don't worry, I have some planned for that, but that's more of a late summer fall project. I think now it's time to jump into the history of what this unit actually did. We know the whole spiel of what happened in Operation Just Cause in 1989, but the 82nd Airborne was a major player in this, being one of the main forces involved in the operation, along with the other commonly known units like the 7th Infantry Division and the Rangers. They worked hand in hand with both of these units. In fact, if you remember from my last video, they took over the Tucumán airport after the Rangers had cleared it out. In addition to reinforcing the Rangers at this airport, the 82nd Airborne's general objectives were to surround the capital, isolate Panama City from an eastern reinforcement, and destroy any remaining PDF forces in the area. And after this, their goal was peacekeeping and transitioning to the PPF. But before they could even step off, the 82nd Airborne ran into trouble. Departing from Pope Air Force Base in North Carolina, ice storms and winter weather had delayed the step off. Similar to the Rangers, many of them were stuck in their aircraft for extended periods of time. They spent hours awaiting liftoff, and once they finally got there, they had a low altitude jump. And as they were flying over the small country of Panama, after the Rangers had secured the airport, inside their C-141 Starlifters, the green light flashed, and it was time to go. Paratroopers poured out of the aircraft, hitting the jungle not 30 seconds below. Despite tackling difficult terrain, being under constant fire, and scattering all over the drop zone, the 82nd Airborne quickly regrouped and established a strong foothold in the area. Thanks to them and the Rangers, the Tucuman Airport was secure. This task force, labeled Task Force Pacific, went from an airborne assault to offensive ground operations. Elements of the 1st Battalion of the 504th Parachute Infantry Regiment pushed outward from the airfield and secured key transportation routes east of Panama City. Roadblocks and security positions were established along the major avenues of approach to resist PDF movement. Because of Task Force Pacific and this operation, M551 Sheridan light tanks were able to follow shortly after. By the end of that day, the airfield was not only securely part of the US advance, but it served as a major hub for follow-up operations, many that the 82nd took part in. The following day, December 21st, was the first major push out of the Tucuman Airport operation area. Elements of the 504th conducted helicopter-borne assaults against Cerro Tinajitas, a key PDF position that overlooked the surrounding region. This operation successfully neutralized and eliminated that potential threat to oncoming American forces. Elsewhere, more paratroopers were conducting clearing and security operations in the Panama Viejo area, as well as along eastern approaches to the capital city. Resistance varied here, from organized PDF units to isolated but armed personnel. And as the days continued on, the 82nd pushed into these areas, securing a strong foothold and surrounding Panama City. Shortly after, organized military resistance collapsed. Yet, a new challenge had emerged for the 82nd Airborne and additional units taking part in Just Cause. The breakdown of the PDF and local security forces created a significant instability in the region. Looting, civil disorder, and humanitarian concerns quickly arose, and thus the mission of the 82nd Airborne began to shift. These paratroopers who had just recently engaged in close combat found themselves conducting security patrols, critical infrastructure protection, assisting in humanitarian efforts, and helping to restore public order. Of course, as with Tucuman Airport and other operations that the 82nd found themselves in, this was a success. And after a few short weeks, Operation Just Cause came to a close. While it was short-lived overall, this operation marked a return for the 82nd Airborne to airborne assault operations. Operation Just Cause was an interesting part of American history, and the 82nd Airborne played a huge role in the success of it. Now, while my overview was very generalized, there are plenty of after-action reports and anecdotes that you can read online, some of which I've linked below. In fact, all of the sources I have, as well as reference photos, are down in the description. So go check that out. This is The Gear Locker, and we'll see you guys for the finale of Just Cause June.